Oleh itu, untuk tahun 2022,
Three, two, one, zero.
Assalamualaikum. We are from Group 1. We'll be presenting our tutorial presentations, Budget 2022, Less Revenue, Bigger Deficits. As for the introductions, the allocation for Budget 2022 is 332.1 billion, which is the largest on the record for the country. With the budget theme Keluarga Malaysia Makmur Sejahtera, the budget allocation will focus on reviving every socio-economic segment in the country. Finance Minister says of the total, there will be 23 billion for the COVID-19 funds beside the operating and development expenditure. The budget is more focused on the government's effort to rehabilitate the country, which has been affected by COVID-19 pandemic. It has been almost 2 years since the pandemic hit the country, hence it leaves a lot of adverse effects in many sectors, especially the economy.
Budget is the proper expenditure planning of the government to ensure all the allocated funds have been allocated clearly and right to the needs. Then there were several principles need to be followed when incurring the expenditure. Firstly, under canon of equitable distribution, the government need to ensure the allocation money of fund is being given to the needs equally and fairly. As the aim of the government is to minimize the poverty, it must be prioritize the poor family. The distribution must be fairly among the rich and poor. For example, provide social scheme and subsidy. In the recent budget, cash handout from RM300 up to RM2,500 is more focused on B40 group in assist them during the COVID-19 recovery. It includes the family with many children, single parent and also senior citizen. The senior citizen get the monetary assistance with RM300 and RM500 bonus to single parent with the salary less than RM5,000. Then the subsidy for apprenticeship have been increased. The government has pledged to offer RM900 a month for up to 6 months in apprenticeship subsidy, which is before this RM800. It's offered to the school leaver aged 18 to 30 with at least half the diploma. The government also has set up 150 million in funding for young entrepreneurs under Bank Simpanan Nasional and Agrobank to attract the youngster in the agriculture sector. Next, in the subsidy for firm to renovate due to COVID-19, but the firm must be legally registered to the government to get the subsidy. It's also part of the recovery economy of Malaysia to make sure the firm still can operate. It's helped the firm to improve their system, especially their air collection system. It is to ensure the physical meeting held by the employer or company is safe and also to curb the spread of COVID-19 among the employees in the firm or company itself.
Next point for canon of equitable distribution is discount for PTPTN loan. To encourage PTPTN borrower to continue make loan payment, a discount scheme was reintroduced in the 2022 Malaysian budget. PTPTN remain committed to acting as an education fund that provide education loan and help parents start saving for their children's future education, benefiting borrower through a loan repayment discount initiative from 1 November 2021 to 30 April. Next, a student from B40 family to get free tablet computer. The Ministry of Communication and Multimedia will open application to all students of institution of higher learning, IPT, private college, polytechnic or community college student to get free tablet or laptop. From April 15, the Ministry will open an online portal where students, including rural from a low-income group, B40 can apply. Distribute this year through 3 phases of giving with distribution made this June. Next is Education Ministry get the largest class, 120 million for vernacular school. The Ministry of Education MOE continue to receive the largest allocation amounting to 52.6 million or 16% of the total estimate of federal expenditure or the 2020 budget. The maintenance allocation to More than 10,000 schools under the MOE will be distributed according to the type of school based on a uniform rate. Next is 700 bonus for civil servant and 350 for pensioner. One of special financial assistance as a token appreciation for civil servant contribution in public service delivery throughout the year.
The canons of benefits implies to bring important social advantage like maximum social welfare to community as a whole, not to particular group of community. So these canons are suitable for special funding for Chinese nobles, Indian and entrepreneurs because under the budget 2022, a comprehensive program for all sectors of society, regardless of race, religion, age or gender is being undertaken through the Developing Malaysia Family Plan. Prime Minister Tengku Zafar said that a total of 200 million was allocated specifically for the Chinese community, which aims to improve Chinese nobles and financing initiative for small and medium enterprise. As for the Indian community, he said that RM 145 million was allocated to implement program to empower the social economy of the community under the Indian Community Transformation Unit by Tengku Nasional. In encouraging Sabah and Sarawak native to deepen their knowledge related culture and heritage, RM 10 million provided for the purpose. He said that RM 274 million was allocated to implement program which are the Orang Asli Standard of Living Improvement Program to improve the living standard of the Orang Asli community, such as subsidies and schooling assistance, as well as welfare assistance for the benefit of almost 200,000 Orang Asli. So, this canon is acceptable as everyone in the society are be able to have benefit from the expenditure.
I will explain the canon of productivity. The first point is Jamin Kerja Scheme to reduce unemployment rate to 4%. Malaysian Family Job Insurance Initiative 2022 focus on three main programs in an effort to reduce the unemployment rate by providing 600 job opportunities this year. The program, which allocate a total of 4.8 billion, include employment, training and short-term placement initiative, My Step and Training and Skill Enhancement Program Upskill Malaysia. Next is new grant for business. Allocate 100 million in grant for aerospace industry and 100 million in grant for company that want introduce automation into their business. 423 million in grant will be prepared for company to perform research and development.
Next, under canon of productivity, a major part of public expenditure should be allocated for productive and development purpose. This will help to raise the level of employment. For example, under the tax rebate increase for attending skilling courses, this budget also target 220,000 trainees to undergo various upskilling and reskilling program with a total allocation of 1.1 billion ringgit. Among the programs that will be implemented is the Place and Train program. Apart from that, to encourage Malaysians to pursue training program and acquire new knowledge, the limit of individual income tax relief for upskilling and enhancement course fee will be increased from 1,000 ringgit to 2,000 ringgit and extended of the year of assessment of 2023. For women empowerment, more bike for police D11 unit. Under budget 2022, the government announced RM30 million ringgit to beef up the D11 unit due to greater rise in crime against women and children. The government also has proposed extending individual income tax relief up to 3,000 ringgit for the payment of daycare and kindergarten fees until the year of 2023 to assist women with career to care for their children during working hours. In addition, the government through the Securities Commission will also make it mandatory for a company to have at least one woman appointed as a director for a public listed company. So the canon of productivity is suitable for this main point as it encourages productive activity to offer more benefit to the society and offer more job opportunity to people.
Moving on to the next discussion of Budget 2022. The budget also focused to help the business to get back on their feet. One of the principles that government need to seriously consider while planning the budget, it must represent the people. Government is so wiser on managing the public needs during the pandemic, where they give a few advantage to the small business owners, such as defer the scheduled payments, exempt the tax to the tenants, and government also give a 1,000 ringgit tax relief for domestic tourism. Plus, the unabsorbed business losses can be carried forward. Well, actually, the policy of allowing unabsorbed accumulated losses to be carried forward has been effective since 2007 because government adopts the principles of elasticity in arranging the cost due to the needs for socio-economic development.
The last canon of public expenditure that can be applied is the canon of economy. Canon of economy suggests that public expenditure should be incurred carefully and economically. It is to ensure the avoidance of extravagance, wastage, as well as corruption in public spending. It can be seen in the newspaper cutting. The government plans to legislate a Fiscal Responsibility Act. The act is initiated to improve accountability and transparency in the country's fiscal management. The government is also planning to implement a public expenditure review in cooperation with the World Bank to ensure the efficiency and efficacy of public spending on the delivery system. This initiative by the government can help to secure the best value of benefit for every ringgit of the people's money. In budget 2022, the allocation of government expenditure is more toward rehabilitating the country in post-COVID recovery. Government provides many assistance and introduce many tax relief and exemption to aid small businesses and help the public that was impacted from COVID-19. As a result, the country generates less revenue and bigger deficit. Thus, the Fiscal Responsibility Act is an essential tool to stabilize Malaysia's fiscal management and necessary for the country's economic recovery.
What is taxation? Taxation is the imposition of compulsory levies on individual or entity by the government. Taxes are levied in almost every country of the world. In modern economies, taxes are the most important source of governmental revenue. One of the purposes of taxation is income redistribution, which is meant to lessen inequality in the distribution of income and wealth. Taxes are consist of two, which is direct tax and indirect tax. There are two principles of tax base, which is ability to pay and benefit principle. The benefit principle argue that the means of financing government supplies goods and services should be linked to the benefit that citizens receive from the government. From the point of view of those who favor the benefit approaches, fees and charges are ideal form of government finance. Charges like price distribute the cost of goods and service among those who consume them. For example, based on newspaper cutting in budget 2022, the government planned to increase the tax for sugary drinks goods such as chocolate, malt, coffee, and tea. The sugar tax will be implemented in 2019 and is levied at a rate of 40 cents per litre on SSB with a total sugar weight of more than 5 grams per 100 millimeter. The government also intends to levy excise tax on fluid or gel nicotine goods used for e-cigarette and vape. The main purpose of government charge high tax from the people who use e-cigarette product and sugar is as one of incentive to encourage people to have a healthy lifestyle with the hope that this action will make people reduce the use of sugar and e-cigarette.
Next, the principle under taxation issue that can be applied is the canon of equality. Canon of equality is one of the characteristics a good tax should have. It implies that the burden of taxation must be distributed equally in relation to the ability of the taxpayer. Equality here means that the rich people should bear a heavier burden of tax than the poor people. Based on the newspaper cutting, it stated that the government imposed a windfall tax known as cukai makmur, which is a one-off tax imposed by a government on a company or a group of companies. It is a taxable corporate income of 33% for a company that earn more than 100 million. Mostly these companies are in the industry that benefited during COVID-19, such as technology industry, while the corporate tax for income below 100 million remains unchanged at 24%. This windfall tax creates social justice and equality as it reduces the burden of smaller companies that are impacted by COVID-19. This tax is one of the government ways to stabilize the economy due to COVID-19 disruption and to reduce the fiscal deficit. The implementation of the cukai makmur in the 2022 budget is able to help fund the country's high health costs in continuing efforts to combat the COVID-19 pandemic.
What is public borrowing or public debt? Public borrowing refers to the loans made by the government from various sources. Or in other words, public debt is the total amount, including the total liability borrowed by the government to meet its development budget. The government chooses to borrow when it spends more than it gets in income. There are two sources of public borrowing, which is an internal source and external source. The first type of internal source are public financial institutions, for example, Central Bank, EPF, BSN, SOSO, and Bank Pertanian. Second is private financial institutions like CIMB, MBB, and Public Bank. Third is issue of government bonds or security. There are three types of external source, which is market loans, bilateral loans, and international development financial institution. Based on newspaper cutting budget 2022, the government expect the Malaysian economy to grow between 5.5% and 6.5% this year. It means that the government has to borrow more money in order to make a program and activities that will improve our GDP. The total of our national debt is at 979.8 billion as the end of the last December. According to the Deputy Finance Minister Shah Abdullah, the national debt amounts to 63.4% of the gross domestic product. The ratio of the federal government statutory debt is included that in the Malaysian government securities, Malaysian Islamic Treasury bills, and Malaysian Treasury bills, which is 59.7% of GDP.
Moving on to the exemption tax on vehicle. First thing first, the objective is to ensure the automotive industry keep moving and provide a financial relief for new cars buyer. It is 100% relief for local car and 50% exemption on imported car under Penjana scheme. Furthermore, it is a green initiative to promote a free carbon campaign. That's why government give a free tax on electric vehicle. But in my opinion, a tax-free on vehicle will give the implications towards the increasing of price in automotive, such as the price of the car or the price of the car accessories, which lead to the existence of tax holiday. As the example, there is tax holiday during the tax transition from GST change to SST. What will happen after that is increasing of the goods price because the seller has increased the goods price during tax holiday and remain the price after the new tax implemented, which is SST. Hence, this is what will happen after the exemption of tax on vehicle, especially on the electric vehicle. Therefore, if government really wants to encourage public to use electric vehicle, why don't government complete the facility first, such as build more places to charge the electric car? Because I believe Malaysians are not yet familiar with the use of electric car. Even the charging facilities are very limited here in Malaysia.
Then, for the tax exemption for real property gain tax and e-sport earning will not be in charge in the taxation under budget 2022. But for e-sport earning, it will not be charged in the types of income because any types of inheritance, gift and on price will not be charged in the taxation. So that is why the tournament prize money will be fully exempted. It also to foster e-sport in Malaysia and promote to Malaysian citizens because the e-sport may reach up to the international level. The government also have allocated 5 million to develop drone sport facility. While for the RPGT, the individual who want to sell their property will no longer be imposed in the property disposal from the 6 years. It means after the 6 years, they no need to pay the RPGT. Since the RPGT will be charged when the selling price is higher than the buying price, it might give the benefit to the individual because they do not need to pay taxes anymore, but it affects the tax revenue of the country. RPGT loose may help to boost the local property market and also to ease the burden of the house owner in paying the taxes even the house has already owned. In the RPGT exemption order 2021, before this, under the Penjana scheme, stated that the Malaysian will be exempted of paying 5% for the disposal of the residential property only from 1 June 2020 until 31 December 2021, but limited to 3 units of residential home per unit per individual. It can be seen that the changes made by the government on the RPGT. It depends on the government whether to give exemption or not, but due to the COVID-19 recovery, it helped to boost the property market and provide financial relief to the home buyers and homeowners.
The COVID-19 pandemic has resulted in a drop in government revenue and bigger deficit as cost to combat the outbreak. One way to boost government revenue is to accelerate the digitization of the country's tax administration, so that compliance with current tax rules become nearly automatic. In Malaysia, there is still a strong reliance on taxpayers to declare their own income or profits for tax purposes. As a result, many taxpayers fail to report their taxable income and profit. So in order to close loopholes that allow the wealthy to reduce their tax liabilities and boost taxpayer morale, the government must address leaks by the use of technology. It is because one of the best ways to encourage compliance is to keep the rules and system as clear and simple as possible. As a result, the use of technology in tax system can help reduce the loss of tax revenue caused by the shadow economy. So that's all from us. Thank you.